welcome to Documented Bits. Or, more importantly, welcome to the first episode of A History of Film. Pew pew pew! For fuck's sake. Hopefully the rest of the episode in the series won't be as loud noises and chaotic as the start of this. But yeah, welcome to A History of Film. I think what you can expect from this little series is a bit more of a chilled vibe, which is different from Documented Bits because we're all about the funnies on a normal episode of Documented Bits. But yeah, I'm in my fluffy hoodie, my sweats, and my comfy socks, and we're gonna get comfy here today in this episode. I don't know if I've made this choice in post yet, but my plan at the minute is to have a nice wee piano track going underneath, and you're not gonna hear any harmonicas or stylophones on this little series. No, because we're all about cross. We're not all about cross. Documented Bits is normally cross, but no, this is all about class. And it wasn't very classy of me to have my fucking notification sounds on. So that's very cool. Apparently my phone just doesn't want to turn them off, which is also very nice. Okay, starting mode on. Yeah, so today on this episode, episode 1 of A History of Film, episode I think it's 63 of Documented Bits. We're going to be talking about 2 films. I apologise. We're going to talk about 2 films, 2 early cinema films, very early cinema films. One, technically, you couldn't really class as a film. It's more of a motion picture rather than a film. And that's the first one I'm going to talk about here. I've got my notes down about the 2 things. I've got 4 pages of notes here, but it's only wee small pages. By the way, if you're in Northern Ireland, I don't know if they do this in England or America or what, but if you can pick yourself up a bumper value jotter, these things are fucking class. The paper is really nice in it, and you can draw and write and everything. Non-sponsor, of course. But yeah, the first film, first motion picture we're gonna talk about is The Horse in Motion by, and I hope I'm getting the pronunciation right, but I most definitely probably am not. It's by Edward Muybridge. I'm gonna call him Edward just for comfort's sake. So I'm not trying to pronounce this weird name the whole way through this. Obviously, I'm gonna be mentioning the creator quite a lot. Next little note I have here is photographs taken in 1878, and there's a reason why I've written photographs taken in 1878 and not created or filmed or whatever in 1878, and that is because Edward Muybridge, or Edward, used a technique called Chronophotography, and I think I got it written here. Anyway, Chronophotography is pretty much you get lots of different still photos of the same thing and put them all together. So it's sort of like the earliest form of animation. You get all these pictures taken like split seconds apart, and you put them all together, and then whenever you put them all together and play it through, it should play as like one motion of the thing. As we get into this, I'm going to tell you how he did that, because I've gone into the whole history of what happened, how this came to be, because it's it isn't just a simple fact of he thought, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a load of photos of this thing. I'm going to make it move. Well, not of this thing, of this horse. And I'm going to make it move. I'm going to put them all together. I'm going to make them move. There's a process. There were many attempts. It starts off very basic and ends up with obviously the finished product. Yeah, so as I've written here, Muybridge made 3 attempts. Sorry. See, I don't even know if it's pronounced Muybridge or Muybridge or Muybridge or whatever. So I'm going to call him Edward. Edward made 3 attempts at creating the film, the 3rd attempt being the one that got published. I mean, that was probably the most basic way I could have said it. I've sort of gone into all 3 attempts here, but the most I'm going in detail about is the first attempt, and I think the last attempt. Yeah, because to be honest, the second attempt, there's not much really to talk about, but we'll get into all the attempts. Right. The first attempt at the horse in motion wasn't really an attempt at the horse in motion as a moving picture. The first attempt of horse in motion was just to get a clear photo of a horse. I think it was trotting, or it might have been walking. No, it was trotting past, and there was this rich guy. I don't think I wrote down his name for some fucking unknown reason, but basically it was this rich guy who owned a ranch, and he had a load of horses, but he had his favorite horse, and he wanted to get a photo of this horse trotting, or this horse in motion. The only problem being with that is the technology at that point in 1873? No, 1873, is that the shutter speed on the cameras that they had then wasn't fast enough to get a nice clear image of the horse. Because this sort of explains shutter speeds a wee bit. Shutter speed is basically the lower your shutter speed, the more, I don't know how to explain it, the more like drawn out the images. If you say you take a photo of somebody, I mean, and it's a common technique used in photography to have a low shutter speed or slow shutter speed, because it creates all these cool effects with like the lights and that. One to look up is Mike Photography on Instagram. He went through a phase of doing slow shutter speed photos, and basically it had the subject of the photo was obviously in focus and everything, but then if you move the camera, or actually even if you just move the camera a little bit and you've got lights in the background, it'll draw out the length of the lights, and it'll make it look all cool and like electrified and everything. But at the same time, you will not get a clear image of those lights because the shutter speed is so slow. It takes so many frames per second, and if you haven't got that many frames per second, then there's less data to be like, right, this is where this is, and this is where this is. So it will, if you have any movement whatsoever, it will show the whole movement of that thing. So if you were going to try and get a photo of a horse walking by and you got a really shite shutter speed, it's going to be blurry, and there's going to be like motion blur, if you know what I mean. At that time, there were photos of like moving things. However, it was only really, there's one, or like there's examples of like photos in London of people walking by, but people walking and a horse trotting are two very different speeds. So trying, just being able to get a photo of people walking in London, that was like as good as it got then. So trying to get a photo of a horse trotting was pretty much impossible. And your man Edward here, he created his own like spring activated like shutter system for a camera, and it was, how fast was it? Yeah, he had a shutter speed of 1/500th of a second, which isn't great. And like the best, this is the first attempt. He created this thing. This was the first attempt to get a photo of this horse, and they obviously have many goes at trying to get this photo, like many attempts to get the photo within the one attempt. But the best they could do is they could get the horse, but it was blurry. There was motion blur on it. Then fast forward 4 years, your man Edward thought, fuck it, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get it right. He went away for 9 months. I'm pretty sure he travelled across Central America, and he was developing this shutter system to try and get the shutter speed faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, try and get a clearer image, and basically what the goal sort of was to try and get a photo of the horse with all 4 feet off the ground. Because obviously with the attempts before, with the show slow shutter speed, yes, in the image the horse, all 4 feet of the horse would be off the ground, but at the same time all 4 feet would still be on the ground, or 2 feet would be on the ground, because of that long shutter speed. Because of that long shutter speed, you'll have the full movement of that leg, but you will have it blurred, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it was in 1877. I mean, technically, your man Edward would have spent 4 years working on this thing, but there was a 9-month period where he would follow this guy and his horse around, because it was a racehorse. He'd follow this rich guy and his racehorse around Central America, trying to get photos of this horse, until finally he did. He finally got a clear image of this horse 9 months later, like 9 months into following this horse, in the races and that. And I'm pretty sure this film won an award. I think I've got it written down here. Yeah, the photograph won an award at the 12th This photograph won an award at the 12th San Francisco Industrial Exhibition. So there you go, it won an award. But your boy Edward, he wasn't having it. He wanted to... he was having it. I'm guessing he was happy. I'm guessing he was happy that his photograph of the horse won an award. I'm pretty sure he'll be happy that he was able to fulfill his clients' expectations and wants and asks, to be able to produce this very clear photo of his fucking favourite horse. But your boy Edward wanted this thing to move. He wanted to get the full motion of this horse. And yeah, this is what is known as the third attempt. This is what created the film, the motion picture, the motion picture, The Horse in Motion. So I've got my notes here, and I'll need to read this out pretty much because there's a lot of technical shit on here. So this is how he did it. He set up 24 cameras alongside the racing track in order to take 24 high quality photos of the horse running. The cameras were 69 centimeters apart, and each camera was triggered by a tripwire. Each shutter was triggered by a tripwire, which in turn was triggered by the horse's legs running past and hitting the wires as it runs. The shutter speeds were recorded to be less than 1/2000th of a second. It was noted that the horse's saddle strap was broken in the photos, proving the authenticity of the photos. That's something. Because people thought it was impossible to get such a clear image of a horse, let alone 24 clear images of a horse, and having this horse be in motion. So people thought it was bullshit and he had faked it. But in the photos, like as the horse was running, one of the saddle straps broke, and it was clear to see in the photos the broken saddle strap. So you could see it, if you put it all together, you could see the saddle strap moving in the photos, and that's when people were like, oh shit, he did just take photos of this horse. Yeah. Then later on, to create this thing to make the film, The Horse in Motion, basically what it is he had, I said earlier, is chronophotography was the method used to make this motion picture. And what chronophotography is, what this method is that he used to create this motion picture, is basically there's a big wheel. Okay, well, yeah. So basically you have this disc, and what your boy Edward did later on is he got the photos of this horse, painted them, all of them, on this disc, like around the outside of the disc, and then he put that disc into what's called a Zoopraxiscope, which is sort of like a projector thing. And basically, whenever you get this disc, the projector will be focused on one like square of the disc. And what you did is, or what Edward did is, he painted the 4 photos, or like the four. What am I on by 4? I think it was 12. I think. Have I got it on my notes? Sorry, it was a 12-inch disc. It was 24 photos. Sorry. You got the 24 photos of the horse, put them onto this disc. What would happen is the projector would be focused on this one square of the disc. You would spin the disc, and it's just fucking science. It'd be focused on this one square, but you've got the paintings fucking zooming past the square, so it looks like they're all together. And from that, you get the full motion of the horse. So I've got another thing that sort of describes the Zoopraxiscope. I got a few facts about it. The Zoopraxis. Oh my god. The Zoopraxiscope was the earliest known motion picture expedition. I can't fucking speak anymore. Exhibition, not expedition, or exhibition. No, it is exhibition. Fucking hell. The earliest known motion picture exhibition. So, cinema, basically. The Zoopraxiscope was a projector in which you inserted a 16-inch glass disc with a series of images painted on. These discs later became 12 inches that could be drawn on and coloured. And here's the real shit. This is sort of where... This is my little segue into the next film. The Zoopraxiscope later went on to inspire Thomas Edison and William Kennedy Dixon, to invent the Kinetoscope, which is the precursor to the movie camera. I don't know why I said it like Christopher Walken there. Kinetoscope, which is a precursor to the movie camera. Is a precursor to the movie camera. I just did it again. The movie camera. I'm not gonna go into what a kinetoscope is. Actually, an idea that I had for the series is I was gonna put. I've got words highlighted in my notes here, like keywords. For like if you want to go and do your own research and you want to learn more. I was gonna put a glossary of terms in the well, it's not really even a glossary. It's sort of be like an index of terms in the description of whatever you're listening or watching this on. So you can look up these things and find out more about it, because I'm only here for a limited amount of time. I don't want these episodes to be too long. I don't want to be going into the description of every single thing I talk about. So I'm going to mention things such as the Kinetoscope, or the Zoopraxiscope, or Chronophotography. I'll maybe explain them a little bit, but I'm not going to go into a full description of what these things are. Okay, so that brings us on to the next film, which we're going to be talking about today, which is The Arrival of a Train at La Ciutat Station. Or, let me just fucking get the translation up for this, because it is a French film. Yeah, so this is the French title for the film, as it is a French film.
L'arrivée d'un train à la gare de la Ciotat.
L'arrivée d'un train à la Ciotat. One more time.
L'arrivée d'un train à la gare de la Ciotat.
L'arrivée d'un train à la gare de la Ciotat. The Arrival of a Train at La Ciotat Station. It was directed and produced by Auguste and Louis Lumière, or better known as the Lumière brothers. Lumière brothers, not Lumière. The Lumière brothers are quite legendary in early cinema. Mainly actually because of this film. But not just this film, other films. This is another thing that I'll put Lumière brothers in the description of whatever you're listening to or watching this on, so you can look them up and go through their whole discography and all the lore and the history behind the Lumière brothers. So yeah, let me just get into a description of what this film is. This can be regarded as a film, And to be honest, personally, I believe this film is what transformed film from sort of like a spectacle or like a wow, this new technology to an art. Because this film is the first one to use pretty much like camera and framing techniques. They managed to get let me read all the shots out here. They managed to get an establishing shot, a long shot, a medium, a close-up shot without moving the camera. I didn't even go into the description of the film, so I'm going to do that now. Still working out the kinks here in this first episode. Yeah, so this is a description. It is a film it is a film of a steam locomotive train pulling into a busy train station in Marseille. The train station is called La Cietat. Yeah, so basically what it is, I mean, it does what it says in the tin. It's a train arriving at La Cietat station. There's people on the platform, and yeah, that's basically what the film is. It's, I mean, this is sort of like the first film you call cinema verite. Before cinema verite was a thing, and basically what cinema verite is it's it depicts real life. Sorry, it's actualization. It's yeah, it depicts real life. But there's another thing called direct cinema, which you could maybe say that I don't want to say the whole title, so I'll just call it The Arrival of the Train. You could say, or well, people would make an argument for The Arrival of a Train being direct cinema because it is a video of people at a train station and a train arriving. But there is a key difference, or there's a key factor in The Arrival of a Train that I think would make it more cinema verite rather than direct cinema. And that is because, I mean, I said I wouldn't go into the descriptions of many things, but I sort of have to go into a description here to explain my point. Direct cinema is seen as a observational, like strictly observational film. It's quite often linked to documentaries. Again, I'm not going to go into all the types of documentaries, but there is a mode of documentary called observational documentary, and it's basically where the oh, what's the fucking word? It's not a director. Anyway, it's a director, but for observational documentaries. I can't remember what it's called now. Basically they don't get involved at all. The camera doesn't get involved at all with what the content of the film is. It just fucking videos it, and it's more often than not a continuous shot. So, I mean, to be fair, The Arrival of the Train is one continuous shot. However, what would normally separate direct cinema and cinema verite is basically cinema verite is a depiction of real life, or a depiction of real life or reality, and direct cinema is real life or reality. I think I've explained that right. To be honest, I could be wrong, because I studied this in uni. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember if it was first year or second year that we learned this in, but yeah, I'm sort of working off of that knowledge. But yeah, the reason I'd say that The Arrival of a Train is cinema verite and not direct cinema is because of the techniques. Is the techniques that the Lumiere brothers use with the camera to create a new meaning. Ooh. Or I deeply apologize for that. Or create a new perspective for the audience. Yeah. I mean, what have I written here? Because I don't know if I've got myself in a hole or not. Yeah, Bombaclat fucking did it. Yeah. So that is basically the reason. I'm gonna go into what the camera techniques did, what that new perspective was. That later on I'll go into why or what this new perspective is that the Lumiere brothers created with their framing and camera techniques, and why that is so ingenious for that time. But first of all, I'm going to go into the history of the thing and the technology of it. Basically, what this was filmed on, and this was filmed, it was not chronophotography. It was done with a camera, a movie camera. And this thing was called a cinematograph. Cinematograph. Again, I'm not fucking up to date on the pronunciation, but basically this thing was a recorder, printer, obviously printer of the film, and a projector. Like, it was all those things all in one. Which is pretty fucking nifty. I wish we still had that now. Or well, not had that, but had like a newer version of that, a camera with a projector in it. Or, I mean, it would make more sense if we still had analog cameras, not digital cameras. For some reason, the word for them is gone out of my head, but I'm just gonna call them an analog camera instead of a digital camera. Speaking of which, is my digital camera still recording? It is. Yeah. So they used that, which at the time it wasn't really uncommon to use that. That was sort of like the latest movie camera. Like, other people were recording films with a camera. So the technology wasn't really revolutionary, but it was the way that the Lumiere brothers used the technology. You have films like, what was the one? I can't remember what it's called, but it's literally just, I think it was actually the first ever film recorded with a movie camera, and it was people at a garden party, I believe. Hold on. Let me just quickly look this up. But I'm pretty sure it was people at a garden party, or it was like rich people doing something. Are you fucking serious? Well, I can't remember what it was. If I remember what it was, I'll put the film in the description as well. But it was like, basically, my point is, there were other directors using this photography. That were using this technology. But as I say, it was the way the Lumiere brothers used the technology. And I'm gonna go into depth now and explain what I mean. So there's the story that with this film, whenever it was, I was gonna say aired, but aired isn't the right word. Whenever it was premiered, using this projector, the audience, whenever they saw the train coming, were absolutely terrified, because they thought the train was gonna hit them because they'd never seen anything like this before. There's a bit of debate on whether that's true or not, but if you look at it from the techniques that the Lumiere brothers used, it sort of makes sense. The way they framed the image, first of all, they've got the full image. You've got the train, and you've got the platform. So you've got the object and the people's reaction to the object. But that's not everything. Give me a second. Okay, so you have the full scene, the train tracks, the platform, the people, but that's not what makes the framing of this so good and takes film from being a spectacle to an art. As I mentioned before, or maybe I didn't, the camera's being all fuckaboo. So I don't know if I've mentioned this before or not. There was the whole audience reaction thing. The reason this happened is because of the framing of the shot. The way they framed it, they did it so that the train is moving from, I'm gonna get this right, from right to left of the screen, so it's going across screen. It also looks like the train is coming towards the camera, or like slightly towards the camera, but they've set it up in such a way in that train starts small, obviously. Fucking this car is small, that car is far away. The train starts off small from the perspective that we're at, and then as it comes closer, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the train looks like it is coming towards the audience. It is also at a perceived, the camera, is also at a perceived eye level. So again, it adds to the effect that the train is coming towards us, the audience. So you could see why the audience, if this is true, you could see why the audience would be scared of this train hitting them because of the way that the Lumiere brothers set it up. They wanted to make it look like the train was coming towards the audience and it was becoming bigger and more overbearing and so on and so forth. Now, the thing that makes this, and this sort of ties into the whole mythology of the thing. The thing that makes me think that this is the first film as an art is because that's exactly, like, the whole audience reaction thing. That is exactly the desired effect that the Lumiere brothers wanted to create. They were wanting this to create almost like a 3D effect before they had the technology for 3D cinema. So they were way before their time, which adds to the notion that they're legends of cinema. Now, the way this ties into the whole myth thing is that way later, the Lumiere brothers recreated the arrival of a train at La Cité Station, and they remade it for 3D. And this was again in like the very early days of 3D. And I've written here. Yeah, it was made with stereoscopic film. Again, I'm not gonna go into the full description of what that is. I will leave it in the glossary of terms, or the index of terms even, in the description. But what critics and film philosophers now think is that the audience reactions got a wee bit mixed up. They think that maybe the audience reaction of them being completely terrified that this train was going to hit them was from the 3D version that the Lumiere brothers made way after. Way after they made the original Arrival of a Train, and people saw this reaction, like way after both of these films, people saw this reaction to or didn't see the reaction, heard about the reaction to this 3D film, and then they say, what film was that? And it's Arrival of a Train. So then they put two and two together and think, fuck, the original Arrival of a Train, because of all these things, because of the framing, because of the time, because of everything, they put two and two together and thought, wow, the original Arrival of a Train at La Ciotat station absolutely terrified this stupid fucking naive audience, when that, I mean, it's way more plausible that the audience reaction for the 3D version, which, I mean, you can get it whenever you saw your first 3D film, especially like a horror film or something. It was pretty fucking whoa. But yeah, that's that. But as I say that, it's what I'm saying is not 100% this is what happened. No, the audience reaction wasn't from the first one, it was from the second one. It hasn't actually been proved yet where the audience reaction was from. What I'm saying is it's more plausible that it was the 3D version, but it could easily have been the original version of the film. And I'm just gonna sort of close this out by saying that whenever I was in uni, first year, the first film I made with uni, me and 3 other people made a location profile at Edge Hill train station in Liverpool, and we made it as a homage to the arrival of a train at La Ciotat. And we called it the departure of a train from Edge Hill station. It's not very good. I'll say that right off the bat. But if you want to see that, it's on my film page called on YouTube and on Instagram. But there are 2 different names. On YouTube, it's just Moon Productions, just standard. How you spell Moon, how you spell Productions. On Instagram, I plug it every single week on Documented Bits. It's Moon Productions, but there's 2 zeros instead of the O's in Moon, and there's a wee underscore between Moon and Productions. To see the departure of a train from Edge Hill Station, you can you can go to my Moon Productions YouTube account and find it there. As I say, it's not very good. It was first year of uni, and we were using new cameras, and yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's a location profile. And again, it's not even the original version. The one I put up on YouTube was, I put music behind it, and I put people like voice clips of people talking about trains underneath. However, the original version, the one we submitted to uni, we weren't allowed to have music in it, so we sort of created our own wee soundtrack thing, but again, it wasn't very good. But yeah, I wish I kept the original version now, so I could upload both to YouTube, but I've only got the one that I put the music and voice clips on. But yes, anyway, that was episode 1 of, or part 1, sorry, of A History of Film. I don't really know how I'm going to do the rest of the series, but at the minute I'm thinking, I mean, these two films were both from the 1800s, so I was thinking of maybe going through the decades each week. So then the next time would be, 1900 to 1910, and then the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the aughts, 2010s, right up to present day. And I was also thinking maybe I won't. Oh, well, I'll reference films each time, but maybe I won't do the same thing as I did here, as going in depth and looking at two films. It could be a simple case of I'll look at a trope from that period and then use films as examples for it, or new technologies from that period and again use films as examples for it. But it's going to be a freeform thing. We're going to figure it out as we go. I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of A History of Film. Hope it was very chill, very nice. Hope you learned something. I hope you find it interesting. Yeah, and that's it. Suppose I may do the plugs here. We're Documented Bits on everything: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Chrome, all of it. Documented Bits on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Well, Twitter and Instagram will obviously be at Documented Bits. I'm on Instagram is at the Old Beardo, and at Moon Productions, as I said before. Josh is on Instagram is at Real Josh ET, and on Twitter as that Josh Thomas, I think. I don't know. Yeah, and I believe that's everything. I don't know if I'm gonna do this like weekly, or if I'm gonna do this periodically or sporadically even. By that I mean next week could be just a normal Documented Bits episode. What I will do though, whenever me and Josh both come back in the podcast, I will put this series on pause for a bit, and then only do A History of Film whenever Josh can't do an episode. So any episodes by myself, most likely for the foreseeable future, will be A History of Film. I've also there's a few episodes back where I did a sort of a Superstore review and sort of compared it to The Office a wee bit. I've now watched the whole, well, everything that's on Netflix of Superstore, and I've made a comprehensive list of notes on it, and I was thinking about doing a full episode going in depth. I just see the cameras died on in depth on that, and comparing it to The Office. And yeah, goodbye, good night, good morning, good evening, good day. We'll see you later.